What's going on, guys? Steve here, back with another one. And listen, 2026 is coming fast, and there are some handguns you're going to want in your safe before the clock runs out. Not kidding here. This year has been wild for handguns. Some brands stepped up, some completely shocked me, and a few came out of nowhere with performance I didn't even see coming. Normally, we get a handful of decent releases, and the rest just kind of sit there. But not this time. Over the past year, I've tested more guns than I probably should admit, and the number of actually good handguns has been borderline ridiculous. We're talking carry guns, duty guns, range monsters, stuff that's reliable, accurate, and absolutely worth grabbing before prices spike or inventory disappears again. So today, we're counting down the handguns you should seriously pick up before 2026 hits. Whether you're looking for your first carry pistol or something to round out the collection, this list is a damn solid place to start. The RXM came out late last year, and after carrying and shooting it through 2025, I realized it deserved a place on this list for reasons that don't show up on a spec sheet. The 4-inch barrel and roughly 26-ounce weight give it a balance you'll feel immediately, and the Magpul-based frame design offers a grip angle that feels more natural than most Glock pattern clones out there. Across the year, it held up well, including a full mud test where it gave me 2 stoppages that cleared themselves and then finished the magazine without any drama. That already puts it ahead of daggers and lone wolf builds I've put through the same conditions. It's not a Glock, but in reliability and consistency, it sits closer than I expected. Accuracy stayed predictable and recoil remained manageable even when conditions weren't great. Nothing about it felt like it was falling behind as the year went on. If you're thinking about adding a compact pistol before 2026 hits, this is one worth grabbing while prices fluctuate. From here, the list starts moving toward guns that bring a completely different kind of performance. Every year, there's at least one gun that sticks around longer than anybody expects, and for 2025, this ended up being that gun. The 19X MOS may not be new, not flashy, and not competing with the latest triggers or optic systems, but it keeps showing up for one simple reason. It works exactly the same way every single time you run it, and for a lot of shooters, that still matters. This model came out with a lot of military contract history behind it, and the MOS version finally gave people what the original 19X missed out on: the optic system and threaded barrel everyone asked for. It's still the classic 19 slide on a 17 frame, a setup law enforcement and duty guys like because it's easier to carry all day without a long slide digging into you. The magazines are proven, the reliability is the same Glock track record people trust, and the gun ran everything in testing. No surprises, no drama, just the same predictable performance since day one. Is it the most feature-packed option in 2025? No. But if you want a pistol you can set up quickly and trust immediately, this one still earns its place. And if you're thinking about grabbing one before 2026, availability and pricing are at their best right now. I didn't plan on putting this gun back into my rotation in 2025, but it ended up happening anyway. Every time I pushed newer pistols through testing, this one kept reminding me why HK built such a solid reputation in the first go. The Expert has been around for a while, and when you shoot it again after a break, you realize how much they actually got right years ago. The accuracy is still the part that stands out. The long slide, the O-ring lockup, the cold hammer forged barrel, the match sights, everything works together in a way newer pistols still chase around. The trigger is cleaner than the standard USP models, and the reset stays short enough to run it quickly. Recoil's light, the gun stays flat, and the consistency is obviously the moment you hand it to someone who's never shot one. My only issue this year came from bad ammo. Once that was gone, the pistol ran clean through the rest of testing. It's not cheap, and batches come and go fast, but if this gun has ever been on your list, getting it before prices hike up in 2026 is a good idea. When they disappear, they're gone for a while, and the price doesn't come back down. There are certain pistols you shoot once, and they stay with you longer than expected. The MC9 Prime was one of those for me, and the more I spent time with it, the clearer it became why it belongs here. It's the best handgun of the year in my opinion. I absolutely love this gun. If you guys have followed me over the years, you know that I love Caniks. This is no sponsor video, but the Canik Mete MC9 Prime is seriously awesome. This is probably the best Canik ever made as well, and I've shot almost all of them. It's super easy to shoot. If you're thinking about upgrading before we get to 2026, this is one you try sooner rather than later. Canik finally dialed in the balance, recoil path, grip angle, and trigger in a way that makes the gun feel settled the second you fire it. Accuracy and control come naturally with this platform even when you push speed. The overall shooting feel is unusually refined for its size. It earns this position with performance alone, and whatever direction you think this list goes after this, that's not the direction we're taking. You ever pick a pistol and right after the first couple of shots, you just stop and wonder why nobody talks about it? That was exactly my experience with the Ported P-10C. It wasn't even supposed to be part of that range day. It was sitting in the back as a backup. I handed it to a buddy just to get a second opinion, and after one magazine, he turns around with that look, how come this thing isn't everywhere? And honestly, that's when I realized this gun never got the attention it deserved. The story got funnier because we kept passing it around and everyone did the same little nod after shooting it. The grip settles right in, the trigger breaks cleaner than most guns above its price, and that ported barrel, that thing actually works. The muzzle barely moves. For something under 500 bucks, that's not normal. This one feels like a sleeper hit that showed up late to the party, and with the way 2026 is heading, prices climbing, stock bouncing around, grabbing one while they're still cheap isn't a bad idea at all. And whatever lane you think we're going into next, trust me, that's not where we're headed. I've run a lot of M&Ps over the years, but this carry comp stood out in 2025 in a way I didn't expect. It's one of those pistols that doesn't try to be anything crazy. It just does everything well. Small enough to carry, big enough to control, and built with features that usually cost a lot more than this. We've had ours for a while now, and every time it went out, it reminded me why the M&P line still holds its place. The reliability was the first thing that made an impression. We pushed roughly 2,000 rounds through it, and it ran all of them without a single malfunction. The single port comp actually works, keeping the recoil low and the gun flat. The performance center trigger is light, clean, and consistent, and the optic system gives you plates for almost everything right out of the box, even if the plates themselves are plastic. It's accurate, soft shooting, and simple to run. The only thing I'd change is the lack of grip texture, but that's easy to fix with aftermarket panels. If this gun has been on your radar, getting it before 2026 is the right call. It's the kind of setup you buy once and keep for the long run. This one surprised me in 2025. I didn't expect the M9A4 to land this high, but after running it again this year, it reminded me why this platform lasted as long as it did. If you've ever shot an older M9, you know exactly what I mean. The A4 brings that same steady feel, just updated in all the ways people actually want it. For me, the recoil is the part that always stands out. It's soft, it's predictable, and you don't have to force the gun to behave. The open top slide, the long barrel, the DASA setup, it all makes the gun settle in a way newer shooters can pick up immediately. And if you're someone who likes a clean single action break after a safe first pull, this system still delivers. This year, mine ran exactly how you'd expect. No surprises, no weird malfunctions, just a reliable full-size pistol doing what it's supposed to do. If the M9A4 has been sitting on your mind, before 2026 is a good time to grab one. These show up in batches, and when they're gone, the price usually climbs. It's the kind of gun you buy, set up once, and keep for the long haul. The G3C is one of those pistols that keeps showing up year after year, and 2025 didn't change that. It's still one of the best-selling carry guns in the budget category, and honestly, I understand why. For the price, it gives you more than most guns in this bracket even try to offer. A lot of you already own one, and from what I've seen in the comments this year, most of you have had nothing but solid experiences with it. The luck I had with mine, however, wasn't really that great. You guys already know that, but that doesn't change the fact that the majority of G3Cs run without any of the issues that I encountered. One gun out of 100 having a problem is part of the reality with any mass-produced firearm. The platform is accurate enough for everyday use, easy to control, and simple to carry. It gives new shooters an affordable entry point without feeling like a compromise, and that's a big reason it keeps selling the way it does. If you've been thinking about picking one up before 2026, now is just the right time. The prices stay low, availability is good, and as long as you get a solid copy, you're good. And what comes after this has its own story behind it. Alright, moving forward, and this one definitely makes the must-own before 2026 list. We're talking about the Tisas PX9 Duty, a gun that honestly shouldn't be this good for the price that it's at. I grabbed it for a budget comparison, picked up a handful of sub $300 pistols, and out of all of them, this was the only one that actually impressed me enough to keep shooting it. I don't run a ton of Tisas guns, but every time I do, they end up punching way above their weight, and the PX9 Duty isn't your typical Turkish clone. This thing feels like a budget VP9 that accidentally turned out better than it had any business being. You get a threaded barrel, fiber optic front sight with a blacked out rear, optics ready slide, front serrations, rail, oversized trigger guard, and a shockingly good trigger that breaks around 4 pounds with a fast reset. Even the grip, with interchangeable panels and a low bore axis, feels like something from a much more expensive pistol. For what it costs, it's borderline ridiculous. The only thing holding it back is that I only tested one copy, and Turkish quality can swing a bit, but based purely on performance, this is absolutely a gun you should pick before 2026 sneaks up on you. I went through a stretch this year where I honestly thought the PDP was starting to fall behind, not because it did anything wrong, but just because every new release was loud, overhyped, and trying way too hard. And then I ran a simple accuracy drill with the PDP again, and it embarrassed two newer guns that were supposed to be the quote, next big thing. That's when it clicked. The PDP never fell off, people just stopped paying attention. The trigger is one of the cleanest in its class, the grip texture locks in perfectly without tearing you up, and the ergonomics feel like they were shaped by someone who actually shoots. The optic system is still smarter than most factory setups. The gun doesn't fight you, it just follows your lead. This is where you realize waiting is gonna cost you. Prices are creeping up, stock is inconsistent, and Walther gear doesn't get cheaper once the new year hits. If you've been thinking about picking one up, waiting is only gonna make it harder, because the next pistol on this list, that's where everything shifts. Coming in at number 3 is probably the biggest shocker on the list this year in 2025, and that is the Bodyguard 2.0 Performance Center. Yes, a Bodyguard is on the list, and I know what you're thinking. Like, Steve, how many rounds have you put through that gun? Why did you put a Bodyguard on the list out of everything? Well, for me, this makes sense because this is one of my small EDC pistols after the Ruger RXM. And while I honestly think the RXM is stronger overall, this little 380 makes sense in the real world. And still, when it's coming from Smith & Wesson, you can't really ignore it. This thing is stupid light at 16.8 ounces, barely moves in the hand, and it shoots way better than any tiny gun should. Hardly any recoil, fiber optic sights, optics ready slide, micro port on the barrel, and you get 10+1 or 12+1 rounds for something this small. It disappears in shorts. That alone makes it worth looking at before 2026 comes around. And honestly, if you already own one, then we're twins, because this thing has been riding with me more than I expected this year. And if number 3 shocked you like that, wait till you see what's sitting in the top 2. Now, the Wraith. Look, the funny part is its twin brother, the Dark Forge Reaper, already proved itself earlier this year. So when the Wraith showed up, I kinda knew it'd be solid, but this one brings its own flavor. And if you're a 2011 lover, this is the time to snag one. We're at the end of the year, barely a month left, and guns like this do not sit around. We ran about 1,200 rounds through it in the last couple of weeks, and it handled everything clean. Aluminum grip feels stupid comfortable, slide work looks like someone actually cared, and the optics mount is the lowest I've ever used on a production gun. Mag wells included, and the controls make sense, and that 2-pound trigger, yep, it's every bit as good as it sounds. Breaks clean, snaps right back, but the real magic is the 8-port barrel. That V8 stack keeps this thing flatter than anything else I've shot recently. No weird jump, no side hop, just track straight. Now yes, it's about $6,000 and isn't easy to find, but that's exactly why it belongs here. Get it before the year rolls over, because once we hit number 1 on this list, you'll understand why the window on guns like this is closing fast. Every year, there's one pistol that keeps pulling me back no matter what else I'm testing. In 2025, this was the one. It's the only gun I shot this year that made me stop comparing it to anything else. The more time I spent with it, the more obvious it became that nothing else landed the same way. The original Shadow 2 has always been one of the best shooting pistols out there, just too big and too heavy to actually carry. This updated version finally fixes that. You still get the same frame geometry, the same competition style trigger, the same sight picture, the same rail mounted feel, just a lighter, smaller package that works outside a range bay. And the balance is unreal. It settles immediately, tracks straight, and shoots flatter than anything else I ran this year. Accuracy is automatic. The DASA trigger feels like it came from a high-end match gun. Recoil control is easy, and the reliability comes from a platform that's been proven for years, not months. If you're planning to add one, do it before 2026. Once these get harder to find, prices won't stay where they are. This is the handgun that actually earned the number 1 spot in 2025.
I wanted to throw in a quick bonus because some of you still bring up the Glock COA Optic. Even though Glock stopped making these, it's still one of the cleanest optics they've ever put out. The glass is solid, the dot is bright, and it just works without any drama. I've used mine for a long time now and never once had a single issue with it. Since it's discontinued though, the only way to get one now is to keep an eye on the used market. Places like local shops, consignment cases, or guys listing their parts online. They pop up randomly, and when they do, they don't stay long. If you come across one in good shape, that's pretty much your chance right there. It's a simple shout out, but the COA was really one of Glock's better optics. If you find one, don't sit on it. If you're someone who still enjoys a strong 45 but wants something that doesn't feel outdated, this is one of the few options in 2025 that actually makes sense. When I brought mine back out this year, it reminded me just how well effin' put this package all together.
The recoil stays manageable, the frame settles quickly, and it has all the features people end up adding anyway. Threaded barrel, raised sights, optics cut already built in. A lot of modern 45s don't give you much room to grow, but this one does. Capacity is strong, the slide tracks clean, and it's built to handle real use. Mine stayed reliable through everything I put through it this year, which is exactly what you want from a 45 in this category. If this model has been sitting in the back of your mind, getting it before 2026 will make all the difference. Keep in mind that these don't flood the market, and when they go, they stay gone for a while. You know, every time I finish one of these lists, I'm reminded how fast things change in the gun world. This year was no different. Some of these handguns impressed me way more than I expected, and a couple completely shifted my opinion once I actually got behind the trigger. If there's a gun you think should have been here or something people absolutely need before 2026, drop it in the comments. I do read them, and I really do influence what shows up on the channel next. Hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't, and share this with someone who's building out their collection. Thanks for being here, thanks for the support, and thanks for letting me keep doing this. This is Steve, and I'll see you in the next one.